My name's Trish, and I am in commercial flooring. And my history with American Clean Source is I've dealt with them from maintenance to problem solving to explaining to clients and or end users what they can expect from their flooring. When we have an issue with some flooring not living up to its expectations and maybe needing some work. When you first put down carpet, sometimes you need to walk on it so that the yarns bloom. And if sometimes you'll have clients that really can see the seams, or they can see just it's not what they expected, what they saw in the picture. And with American Clean Source, they can come out and they can do what is called pile lifting. And basically what that does is accelerate the process of what would naturally happen with people walking over the floor over a period of time. And when you have a client that, just doesn't understand that, then that's a good process to use. And it's they've always fair with their pricing and very responsive when I call. And I don't have to go hold their hand. I can trust that they're going to meet with the client and, be professional. And every time I've sent Kevin and or anybody from Clean Source, American Clean Source, they've always I've had compliments about how precise they are, and they've always explained things well in layman's terms, because sometimes construction and property management and or end users, there's a disconnect, and they're very good at being able to explain to clients in a way that they can understand. So when I've had issues with, they do ceramic, some reconditioning of ceramic or cleaning, and some of the end of construction, sometimes trades aren't the cleanest, and we need to get it to a place where we do a final turnover so that the client looks and walks in and is they're expecting a brand new space and all pretty and clean. And construction isn't a clean deal. So a lot of times I'll ask American Clean Source to come in and touch it up and make it and do all the little fine details that really makes the difference for an end user. Sometimes it can make the difference between accepting the job and signing off and moving on, or getting into a keep coming back and just because their expectations haven't been met. And that's another thing, setting expectations and helping people know in advance what to expect. From carpet tile or broadloom carpet, ceramic, vinyl plank, really any commercial material. They have done residential in the past, but I am in commercial, so that's what I've utilized them for. And I find that setting expectations up front before you even have the flooring go down is a really good idea for the property managers, the end users, and the construction companies, because sometimes they have so many trades that they deal with that they're not necessarily focused on one or another. They're spread thin, and they know a little bit about basically every trade, but they really don't necessarily know the details of what makes a job come out to a result that everybody's going to be happy with and get paid on time. That's important too. Their prices have always been competitive. I've never gotten any pricing that was out of line, and they always have made the schedule. And fortunately for me, when I've had emergencies, they've gone out at nights and weekends and solved my problem and got the people taken care of, or the companies taken care of in a timely manner, so that the excitement or the pressure or the sense of urgency doesn't escalate. And that's really important with clients. That sense of urgency is really necessary, and one of the reasons why I use American Clean Source. And I call on them first, and if there's something that they can't do, they're upfront with me. They tell me that it's something that they don't recommend, and that they don't, it's something that they're not going to stand by. And if they tell me that, then I know that it can't be done. So that's my experience with them, and it's about a 15-year experience now. So the billing has always been on time. If I have questions about invoicing and or receiving my billing, and I've always been able to work it out with the administrative portion. Their installers, one of the nice thing about their mechanics, rather not installers necessarily, that their equipment is clean, they're clean, they treat it as if they're their own home, and they treat the job sites as they would their own space. And I find that really important, and that's not necessarily prevalent throughout the construction industry, unfortunately. So for me, so all those things are really important for me, for the business that we do together. Building maintenance, facility, property owners, it's really good to get them in front of construction, even before a contract is signed. Once they find out what the product's going on the floor, again, it's setting those expectations, and then them meeting the expectations, and explaining where money saving, doing like a monthly maintenance program or a quarterly maintenance program, rather than just waiting until your carpet's so dirty and so stained that it just can't be revived. And some people just don't understand that. They think you get some spots, or they have a party and somebody spills red wine, you can wait 2 or 3 months before you try to clean it, and that's just not the case. So a maintenance program that, while an end user or the tenant might think the carpet is clean, it's just not actually clean, it's just the dirt is hidden. And getting on a program really budget-wise saves them in the long run, and that's a numbers game that is sometimes hard to explain when people have a set budget for an annual year, when they really need to be told and explain the big picture of the saving that is going to come over a period of time. It's not going to be necessarily right now. It's going to be over that period of time, and rather than having your flooring down for 5 years and having to replace it, you're going to be able to extend the life of it for a really reasonable cost. And my experience is that a lot of buildings use janitorial companies, and they do everything from changing the garbage can liners to washing the windows, and a lot of times they just grab whatever cleaner they've got and try to clean carpet, and that's just not the way to treat it. It needs to have the right chemicals so it doesn't damage the yarns or flatten the yarns, or have walk paths. That's very common. People do not understand that. And they also, American Clean Source can help people understand how, like, for example, carpet tile can be moved when you have a walk pattern. One of the advantages of carpet tile is that you can move your carpet tile around so those walk paths don't come, and they're not as noticeable. So people don't walk right next to the wall. They walk down the middle of the corridor, and you can do some manipulation of moving those around, and that explanation helps them a lot. Sometimes it can extend it from anywhere from up to doubling the life of the flooring that they've got if they just take care of it. And that explanation is what they do really well with. And I can always trust when I call American Clean Source that I don't get phone calls back asking me to get somebody else or to get another opinion. They just get it done in a timely fashion, and make the client happy, and therefore that makes me happy, and gets everybody paid, and gets us to where we need to be. So I appreciate it, and thank you, Kevin. You've always been there and always answered his phone.